The Beck fleet moved quietly through the dark edges of the star system. Their ships were smooth and shiny in the weak light from the distant sun. Science Officer Tay looked worried as he studied something strange on his screen. "Captain Kim, I see an unknown ship at coordinates 227-43-189, said Tay. His four-fingered hand adjusted some controls. Captain Kim sat up in her command chair. Her silver skin reflected the blue light from the bridge screens. "What kind of ship is it?" "I don't know, sir. But the energy reading is troubling." "Tell me more," Kim said firmly. "It seems to be sleeping, but its power could be greater than anything we've ever seen," Tay explained. First Officer Du laughed. "It's probably just an old, broken ship. Many battles have happened in this area." "Let's get closer and check it out," Kim ordered. "Get ready to send teams aboard." The Beck fleet changed direction. Engineer Jean spoke up with worry in her voice. "Captain, what if it's a human ship?" "Humans?" Du cut her off with a wave of his hand. "They've barely reached their moon. They won't have real space travel for hundreds of years." The main screen showed a closer view of the distant object. It had sharp angles and a dark hull with few lights. Its shape was strange but seemed designed with a purpose, like a hunting animal. "Scan finished," Tay announced, his voice shaking now. "Captain, humans made this ship. The metal matches what they use." Kim stood up from her chair. "That can't be right." Suddenly, the quiet ship came alive. Lights turned on all along its huge body, showing a name painted on the side, UES Dauntless. Many weapons turning on, Tay shouted. "They're aiming at." "Move away quickly," Kim ordered, but it was already too late. The huge human warship fired first, bright beams of energy cutting through space. Two Beck scout ships exploded instantly. "Return fire," Kim shouted. The Beck weapons locked on, but somehow their shots missed or bounced off the human ship's shields. "Impossible," muttered Du. "Their defense technology shouldn't be this advanced." The bridge rocked as something hit them. Alarm sounds filled the air and red lights flashed. "Main engines damaged," reported Jean. "Shield strength down to 60%. Kim watched in horror as the human ship moved with surprising speed for its size. It shouldn't have been able to turn so quickly or accelerate so fast. "Captain," called Tay, "I'm detecting more energy signatures." They're everywhere." The view screen changed to show the wider space around them. More human ships were appearing, dropping their hiding shields. The Beck fleet was surrounded. "We need to retreat," Kim said, her voice tight with fear. "Communications are being blocked," said an officer. "We can't call for help." The main screen flashed, and a human face appeared. The being had tan skin and dark eyes that seemed to look right through Kim. "This is Captain Park of the United Earthship Dauntless," the human said in perfect Beck language. "Your fleet has entered restricted space. Lower your weapons and prepare to be boarded." "How do they know our language?" whispered Du. Kim stepped forward. "This is Captain Kim of the Beck Exploration Fleet. We meant no harm. We thought your vessel was abandoned." The human smiled, but there was no warmth in it. "Yet you prepared boarding parties before making contact. Your weapons were charged before we revealed ourselves." Kim had no answer for this. "We have been watching the Beck for some time," continued the human captain. "Your reputation with developing worlds is concerning." Kim felt cold fear spread through her body. How much did these humans know? Another blast rocked the ship. 3 more Beck vessels exploded in silent bursts of light. "This is your final warning," said Captain Park. "Surrender now." Kim looked at her bridge crew, at the fear in their eyes. She looked at the screen showing the massive human warship and its companions now revealed all around them. "We surrender," Kim said quietly. As Beck crew members were taken aboard the human vessel, Kim realized the terrible truth. Everything they knew about humans had been wrong. The species they had dismissed as primitive had been watching them all along. And now that the Beck had spotted a human warship, it was indeed too late to run. 3 years ago, Elder Pack stood in the bright grand chamber of the Galactic Council. His old hands shook slightly as he gripped the speaking podium. Around him, representatives from 30 space-traveling species watched with mixed interest. "We must be careful about humans," Pack said, his voice thin but clear. "What we know about them is not complete." Council leader Song sighed loudly. She was tired of Pack's warnings. "Elder Pack, we have studied Earth for decades. We watch their television. We listen to their radio. We see their primitive rockets and their tiny space station." Pack shook his head. "What if that's only what they want us to see?" The council chamber filled with low laughter. Many members found the idea amusing. "Humans fight each other constantly," said Representative Han. "They can barely agree on anything. How could they hide advanced technology from us?" Pack's eyes narrowed. "Has anyone wondered why we've never detected signals from other civilizations near Earth? Why that sector seems empty?" Song tapped her finger impatiently. "There are no advanced civilizations in that sector." "There were," Pack said quietly. "The Yun were a proud species, much like us. They found Earth and thought humans would be easy to conquer. The Yun ships were never seen again." "The Yun were careless explorers," Song replied. "We are not like them. This meeting is over." Now, 3 years later, Captain Kim stood frozen on her ship's bridge. Around her, screens showed 5 Beck ships already destroyed by the human warship. The memory of Pack's warning felt like ice in her blood. The main screen lit up with a human face. The creature had smooth skin and eyes that seemed to look through her. "This is Captain Lee of the United Earthship Dauntless," said the human in perfect Beck language. "You have entered restricted space. Stand down immediately or face consequences." First Officer Du stepped forward, his face showing anger rather than fear. "Captain, we have 15 ships. They have 1. We should attack together and—" "Open a communication channel," Kim ordered, cutting him off. The communication officer pressed several buttons. "Channel open, Captain." Kim took a deep breath. "This is Captain Kim of the Beck Exploration Fleet. There must be a mistake. We did not know this space was—" A bright flash of light cut her off. 3 precise energy beams shot from the human ship, hitting 3 Beck vessels. But they didn't explode. What did they do? Kim asked. Tay checked his readings. They targeted our communication arrays. All 3 ships can no longer send or receive long-range messages. Another flash, and 3 more ships lost their communication abilities. "They're cutting us off," Kim said, understanding filling her with dread. "They're making sure we can't call for help." "This is impossible," Du said, his earlier confidence fading. "How do they know exactly where to hit us? How do they know our systems so well?" Through the view screen, they saw more human ships appearing. They seemed to come out of nowhere, as if they had been invisible until now. 15 human warships detected, Tay reported, his voice barely a whisper. Kim remembered more of Elder Pack's warning speech from 3 years ago. He had spoken of human deception, of their tendency to hide their true strength until attacked. "They have been watching us for years," Pack had said. "Learning our weaknesses. Studying our technology." "Ridiculous," Song had replied. "Our stealth technology is the best in the galaxy. Nothing can detect our observation ships." A memory flashed in Kim's mind, a report from 2 cycles ago about lost observation vessels near the human solar system. Ships that had simply disappeared. "Captain," Engineer Jean called out, "they're scanning us. The scan it's going through all our shields." The human captain's face appeared on screen again. "Captain Kim, we have disabled your communications. Your weapons systems will be next if you don't power down immediately." "How do they know my name?" Kim whispered. "Your ship design indicates you serve the Beck Unified Command," Captain Lee continued. "Your vessel classification shows you're a captain of the Exploration Division, typically assigned to resource acquisition missions." Kim felt cold fear spread through her body. The humans knew everything about them. We have records of Beck ships entering the territories of 17 developing civilizations in the past decade, Lee said. Each planet was stripped of resources. Some species did not survive. The bridge fell silent. Those missions were top secret. No one outside the Beck High Command should have known about them. They've been watching us all along, Kim realized. Elder Pack was right. She gave the order to surrender. As her crew prepared to be boarded, Kim understood at last what Pack had tried to warn them about. Humans weren't primitive, they were patient. And now it was too late to escape them. Despite the growing fear in her chest, Captain Kim knew she had to try. Her 15 remaining ships still outnumbered the human vessel. They were Beck warriors, with technology refined over centuries. All vessels, attack formation Delta, she ordered, her voice firm. Target their propulsion systems. Disable, don't destroy. The Beck ships moved smoothly into position. It was a beautiful sight, their ships forming a perfect sphere around the human warship. This was a formation they had practiced countless times, designed to trap an enemy with nowhere to run. Formation complete, First Officer Du reported, a hint of pride returning to his voice. All weapons locked on target. Captain Kim nodded. Fire. From all directions, bright beams of energy shot toward the human ship Dauntless. This was the moment when their numerical advantage would prove decisive. No ship could evade attacks from all directions at once. But the Dauntless did. The massive human warship twisted and rolled with impossible speed. It moved like a small fighter craft rather than the giant vessel it was. 15 precision shots, and 14 missed completely. How did they? Du started to ask, his mouth hanging open. Before he could finish, the Dauntless fired back. Not wild, panic shots, but carefully aimed projectiles. Each one curved in space, adjusting its path as Beck ships tried to evade. 3 Beck ships exploded almost simultaneously. Evasive maneuvers. Kim shouted. Pattern 6. Her fleet scattered, executing another practiced drill. But somehow, the human weapons followed them, no matter how they moved. How are they predicting our formations? Du demanded as another cruiser burst into flames. It's like they know our playbook. Unknown, sir, Tay responded, his fingers flying over his control panel. Their targeting systems are beyond our understanding. Engineer Jean looked up from her station, her face pale. Captain, I've analyzed their attack pattern. They're using our own shield frequencies against us. Explain, Kim ordered, gripping her chair as the ship shook from a near miss. Our shields operate on rotating frequencies, Jean said. It's why we're considered unbeatable. But they're firing at exactly the right moments when our frequencies shift. They're not just responding to our attacks, they anticipated them. Captain Kim felt cold dread wash over her. How long have they been studying us? No one answered. They didn't need to. On the main screen, the Dauntless spun gracefully, avoiding concentrated fire from 4 Beck ships. Then it released a new kind of weapon, a pulse of energy that didn't look dangerous until it passed through the shields of all 4 ships as if the shields weren't even there. All 4 ships went dark, their systems completely shut down. What was that? Kim whispered. Some kind of energy weapon I've never seen before, Jean replied. It didn't damage the ships physically, it just turned off all their systems somehow. The battle continued for 3 more minutes, though it felt like hours. The Dauntless moved like it could predict every Beck maneuver before they executed it. Its weapons found weaknesses no one should have known existed. 7 more Beck ships were destroyed or disabled. Not a single hit had landed on the human vessel. Captain Kim watched the last of her attack group disintegrate. The human vessel displayed weapons technology she had never seen, directed energy that seemed to bypass their strongest shields, and projectiles that somehow altered course even after launch. Surrender, Kim finally ordered, her voice hollow. All vessels, power down weapons. Captain. Du protested. We can't just. Look at the scanners, Kim said quietly, pointing to a secondary screen. Du fell silent as he saw what she meant. New signals were appearing all around them, dozens, then hundreds of new contacts. More human ships, Tay confirmed, his voice barely audible. They were hidden somehow. Our sensors couldn't detect them until now. The view screen showed human warships appearing throughout the sector, dropping whatever stealth technology had kept them invisible. They varied in size and design, but all bore the same markings as the Dauntless. This was never a fair fight, Kim said, slumping back in her chair. The humans had been testing them, she realized. The lone warship had been bait, deliberately placed to see how the Beck would respond. And they had failed the test. Open a channel to all remaining Beck vessels, Kim ordered. Tell them to stand down and prepare to be boarded. As the message went out, Kim stared at the screen showing the human fleet, now numbering over 300 vessels. She thought again of Elder Pack's warning that everyone had ignored. The old man had been right all along. The humans had never been primitive. They had been waiting, watching, learning. And now the Beck would pay the price for their arrogance. Message from the Dauntless, the communication officer reported. Captain Kim nodded tiredly. Put it through. The human captain's face appeared on screen, expression serious but not gloating. Captain Kim, your surrender is accepted. Prepare to receive boarding parties. Your crew will not be harmed if they cooperate. Kim could only nod. The battle was over before it had truly begun. Captain Kim stood stiffly in the clean, bright conference room of the human warship Dauntless. Her silver skin looked dull under the strange lighting. She was alone, waiting, her mind racing with questions. The door slid open. 3 humans walked in. Kim had expected soldiers in heavy armor with weapons ready. Instead, they wore simple blue uniforms with small badges. They looked almost ordinary. The one in front was shorter than the others. I am Captain Lee of the United Earthship Dauntless, she said in perfect Beck language. 2 officers stood behind Lee. They carried no visible weapons. This confused Kim even more. Please, sit, Lee said, pointing to a chair. Kim stayed standing. I prefer to stand. As you wish. Lee sat down and pressed a button on the table. A 3D image appeared in the air between them. You're wondering why we let you survive. Kim said nothing. She had been trained not to speak if captured. The Beck have quite a reputation, Lee continued. The floating image changed to show a green planet. This was Nelox Prime, 10 years ago. The image shifted to show the same planet, now gray and lifeless. Your mining operations left nothing alive, Lee said. The image changed again to another planet, then another. 17 developing worlds stripped of resources in the past decade. 3 sentient species enslaved or exterminated. Kim couldn't hide her surprise. How did you? We've been watching for centuries, Lee explained. Humanity united when we discovered we weren't alone and that some of our neighbors weren't friendly. Impossible, Kim said. Our stealth technology was impressive, Lee nodded. But insufficient. We detected your observation ships near Earth over 300 years ago. Kim felt her legs grow weak. She finally sat down. The transmissions you intercepted showing our primitive technology? Carefully crafted, Lee explained. The conflicts you observed? Mostly theatrical. Theatrical? Kim repeated, not understanding. Fake. Performed. Like a play, Lee clarified. We knew we were being watched, so we showed you what we wanted you to see. One of the officers handed Lee a small device. She activated it, and a new image appeared, a map of the galaxy with hundreds of bright dots spread across it. Each light represents a human colony or outpost, Lee said. We have settlements in 47 star systems. Kim stared in disbelief. The Beck had only colonized 12 systems in their entire history. But your wars, your primitive weapons. Kim said weakly. Some conflicts were real, especially in our early history, Lee admitted. But for the past 2 centuries, we've maintained the illusion of division while actually working together in secret. Why? Kim asked. Why hide your true strength? Lee's expression grew serious. Because we discovered something troubling about the galaxy. Most advanced species follow the same pattern the Beck do: find developing worlds, take their resources, move on. We decided to break that pattern. Lee stood up and walked to a window. Beyond it, Kim could see stars and the remains of her fleet, surrounded by human ships. The Dauntless was bait, Lee explained. We placed it there, made it look vulnerable, and waited to see what you would do. A test, Kim said, understanding at last. Yes. And you failed it. Lee turned back to face her. You spotted our warship, prepared to attack without attempting peaceful contact, and now it's too late to run from the consequences. What will happen to my crew? Kim asked. They'll be treated well, Lee assured her. But the Beck will need to answer for what they've done to those 17 worlds. Kim looked at the map again, at the vast spread of human influence that had been completely hidden from her people. Our leaders won't accept this, she said. They'll send more ships. Lee smiled slightly. Captain Kim, what you saw today was less than 5% of the human fleet. The door opened again, and another human entered. This one was older, with white hair and lined face. This is Admiral June, Lee introduced him. He'll be leading the diplomatic mission to your homeworld. The Admiral nodded to Kim. We don't want war, Captain. We want change. The galaxy is full of young species with potential, Lee added. We've chosen to protect them rather than exploit them. We hope the Beck can learn to do the same. As Kim looked from the Admiral to the star map showing the true extent of human civilization, she realized just how completely her people had misjudged humanity. They had seen what they expected to see: a primitive, divided species barely able to reach their own moon. The truth was far more frightening. Humans had been patiently watching, learning, and preparing for centuries. And now, the fate of the Beck civilization rested in their hands. 6 months passed quickly. Captain Kim was now Ambassador Kim. She stood tall in the great round chamber of the Galactic Council. She was nervous but didn't show it. The chamber looked different now. For as long as anyone could remember, 12 seats had been empty. Today, humans sat in those seats. Their presence changed everything. The treaty terms are fair, Kim said to the gathered representatives from 30 space-traveling species. Human protection for developing worlds in exchange for peaceful cooperation. Council leader Song, who had once dismissed warnings about humans, now looked worried. And if we reject these terms? Admiral Han, the main human representative, answered in a calm voice. Earth has built defense stations around 27 developing civilizations that the Beck and others plan to exploit. This point cannot be changed. Kim watched Song's face closely. The old leader had lost much of her confidence. 6 months ago, the humans had sent ships to every major world in the galaxy. They had revealed their true power all at once. The shock was still fresh. We need time to consider these terms, Song said finally. You have 3 days, Admiral Han replied. After the meeting ended, Kim found herself alone with Admiral Han. They stood on an observation deck overlooking the space around the council station. Ships of many designs moved through the darkness. Your people adjust quickly, Han said. The Beck have accepted the new situation faster than most. We made a mistake, Kim admitted. We saw what we wanted to see. Many species make that error when they meet humans, Han said with a small smile. We seem harmless until someone threatens us. Kim looked out at the stars. A question had been bothering her for months. The Dauntless wasn't really alone that day my fleet found it, was it? No, Han confirmed. But it would have been enough. Kim believed him. She had seen what one human warship could do. Below them, ships moved in orderly lines, human vessels flying alongside alien craft. Just 6 months ago, humans had been thought primitive. Now they were the most powerful force in the galaxy. Your captain said something I've been thinking about, Kim said slowly. That it was too late to run. I now understand he didn't just mean in that moment. Han nodded. When humanity learned what waited for us among the stars, we got ready. By the time anyone spotted a human warship, it was indeed too late not just for the Beck, but for any civilization that hunted the weak. Kim remembered Elder Pack's warnings from years ago. The old man had been right all along. Humans had been hiding, watching, learning. They had seen how the strong preyed on the weak in the galaxy, and they had decided to change the rules. What happens now? Kim asked. Now we build something better, Han replied. A galaxy where young civilizations can grow without fear. Where resources are shared, not stolen. And if some resist this new way? Kim asked, though she already knew the answer. Han's expression grew serious. Then they will learn what the Beck learned. Once you spot a human warship, it's already too late to run. In the distance, a massive ship moved into view, the Dauntless. Kim would never forget how it had moved with impossible speed, how it had defeated her entire fleet without taking a single hit. But now she understood the true purpose behind human power. They hadn't built their fleet for conquest. They had built it to change the rules of a game they found unacceptable. We were lucky, Kim said quietly. How so? Han asked. We spotted your warship and attacked. We failed your test. But you chose to talk rather than destroy us. Han looked at her thoughtfully. The true test wasn't what you did when you found our ship. It was what you did after you lost. Kim nodded slowly, understanding at last. The humans had been watching not just for threats, but for potential allies. The Beck had failed the first test but passed the second by choosing to listen and adapt. As they stood watching the ships move through space, Kim realized they were witnessing the beginning of a new age. The old powers like the Beck would need to find their place in a galaxy where humans had changed everything. The rules were different now. And it had all started because her fleet had spotted a human warship. When it was already too late to run.